All right, boys. Welcome back to episode 3 of the Beantown Boys podcast. We're once again Dylan Heward, Kid Sawyer, and Leo Brown. And hopefully you noticed a little bit of an audio improvement. We changed our setup a little bit here, so hopefully that sounds better for you guys. Let us know.
Maybe
Hopefully
you
we
guys
can
can actually
hear
hear me this time.
Yeah, that would be lovely. So we're gonna start this off by the general Bees Talks section of the podcast. Now, the Bruins played the Panthers last night, and I was actually kind of surprised at how low scoring it was because you would think, the Panthers are playing with desperation and they're also not great in their own end. So you would think they're going to put up some goals, but they're also going to allow a ton. And that just was not the case. That was kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, Boston is obviously a pretty defensive team, and I mean they have one of the better goal differentials. But when you're scoring 2 goals a game and only giving up like 1-0, and you're giving up like one goal, none, your goal differential is going to go up significantly. The thing that surprised me the most was Brandon Carlo going down and not returning.
Yeah, that was. I still don't know how I feel about that elbow, because I mean, if Dadanov did make that intentional, he did a pretty good job of making it seem like it was an accident.
I mean, the way I see it is, Carlo has 4 or 5 inches on Dadanov.
Yep.
How do you get your elbow up that high unintentionally?
Okay. Well, I mean, for those of you that didn't see the incident, basically what happened was so Dadanov is going into the Bruins corner on the right side, and to Halak's left, and Carlo's coming in behind him, and Dadanov takes a look over his shoulder, sees Carlo, and he makes a play on the puck in tight. And when he did that, he swung both of his arms to his right as like a follow through, quote unquote, and his right elbow went right in like dead center of Carlo's face, and he went down immediately. And he's a big tough kid. That takes a lot to put him down immediately. But I don't know. It's weird because it didn't seem intentional to me. And then obviously, if you're watching the Bruins broadcast on Nesson, they made it seem like he was murdered. I mean, that's their job. They're
make it seem like they got shot.
yeah. I mean, that's their job. They're the
Yeah.
Bruins broadcasters. They're supposed to be for the Bruins, as they should, and they do a great job of that.
I didn't watch most of the game. I kind of just caught up on the highlights. I watched the third.
Somebody
and
decided
overtime.
to work like the
Yeah,
nerve.
sorry, I
Making
had-
money,
Like,
the
dang,
nerve.
like-
I had a life. My
Yeah,
bad.
Jeez, unbelievable, this guy.
But Twitter, best platform out there.
Instagram, Facebook.
Shut the. You know what? Not even gonna do it.
Yep.
You traded.
Watch him out.
You traded.
Twitter updated me on it, and just from what I saw, from like a few different angles, he gives a look over the shoulder and knows Carlo's coming. And Carlo, like I said, is that much taller than him. Like, your elbow should not fly up that high.
Yeah.
So, I know I'm biased because I'm a Boston fan, but that just seems intentional.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was definitely borderline. I mean, I don't know if they're going to do anything about it. I mean, the NHL Department of Player Safety is not one for doing the right thing.
The way I see it, it was only awarded a 2-minute penalty, and why would the NHL really care?
Well,
Unless
it
it's
was
Tom Wilson or
It
Brad
was
Marchand.
weird the way they made that decision. So it was called a 2 on the ice. Then the referees got in their little huddle, as they should, and then they changed it to a 5 so they could review it. Because as you guys know, any 5-minute major is reviewable. And then they brought it back down to the original 2. So I think they only made it a 5 in the huddle so they could review it and make sure. But I wouldn't hate them calling that a 5 just because of that look over the shoulder. But I also understand why they just keep it a 2. Because they could come at it from, well, he was just following through. And to an extent, they're kind of right. It was just a follow through. It was an aggressive follow through,
A scummy follow through.
but it was a follow through. I mean, you can't expect the guy to not follow through because the player's there. That's not his teammate.
The way I see it is kind of like that Marchand incident from a few years ago when he speared Slater Cuckoo right in the cock with his stick. He tried to make it look like he was swinging to try to go back around the net, and he put his stick right into the cup.
Yeah.
So if you look at it like that, like, yes, he was just following through, quote unquote, but it's still a shitbag thing to do.
Yeah, 100%.
Which I was fine with that suspension because he deserved that. And I honestly think if Dadonov gets suspended or gets a hearing, I mean, whatever. It's just more they should have called that right. I feel like that should have been a 5 on the ice. But if they call a 5, it goes to automatic review. You automatically get a hearing.
Yeah, and then another thing that I was thinking about watching the game is if Boston really wanted to, 20,000 IQ this game, they actually lose it in overtime or regulation on purpose and give Florida those 2 points. Because think about it this way. If the third seed in the Atlantic comes out and they play Boston in round 2, do you want the Leafs, who you've beaten them twice, but you're playing them in round 2 this time, and both times you played them in round 1, it went to 7? Or do you want the Florida Panthers, where they don't even have a definitive starting goalie this year because Bobrovsky's having his bad year, as he always does. He has a great year, bad year, great year, bad year, and this year's his bad year. And who was it? Grieger? Is that? Or Drieger?
Drager? Something like that.
Something like that. He was called up from Springfield for them, Florida Panthers, and I was kind of surprised how well he played. It was kind of funny because he has a .932 in the N and the A, but he's got a losing record in the A. It's pretty funny. But he played it phenomenal for him. I was surprised because
really
I've never heard of this guy.
Saves.
Yeah. So I mean, if he keeps the hot hand and they keep playing, I wouldn't say they played well, but if he keeps playing well and they actually score goals, then who knows what happens.
It's Coach Q at the helm, too, and he's not afraid to do those, I guess, big brain type of moves like that.
Yeah, when he sees the right call, he makes it. He doesn't care that Bob makes $11 million. If he's not playing well, he's not playing them. I mean, with goaltending, it's that simple. If you're not playing well, you're not getting the starts. Unless you're
Carey Price.
Yeah, if you're Carey Price, I mean, who knows? Anything you want to add there, Dylan?
I just like to say that I like to see that Nick Ritchie went out with a fight. One of the big reasons we brought him out there was to be a big heavy hitter. And it was a nice, beautiful fight to me. I don't know what you thought of it, kid, if you saw the fight yet. But it was an easy just wallop.
I mean, he fought a guy that really hasn't played in the NHL too much, Stillman. He's kind of new to it. And I think the fight was more in retaliation to the Carlo thing. Or did it happen?
It was the Kasha incident.
The Kasha incident?
Yeah, it was...
I like that he stuck up for his teammate, which he should be doing for that.
Yeah, it was funny. Who was the guy that Richie fought? Stillman, is that who you said?
Riley Stillman.
So, Stillman and Richie were on the ice the whistle before, and I think both teams actually did a line change, but because the lineman wouldn't let them go at the whistle, they stayed out there and then fought after the puck drop. That's pretty... that's something that you kind of, I don't like fighting in hockey that much, but it's something where, the players, to an extent, for some reason, have to police the game themselves. I don't like it, but that's the way it is. And I like that both coaches, no, stay out there, do the right thing, make the fight, and then it's done. It's settled. You don't need to take a dumb penalty later in the game because you're mad you didn't fight. Get the fight done, and then it's over. I was surprised that Kasha came back. I mean...
Oh, yeah.
I didn't see what happened.
It was, Kasha actually got a penalty on the play. It was, incidental contact, but it was an incidental knee-on-knee hit that Kasha was the one with his leg extended, so the fault goes to him. But, I was so surprised, because
they just iced it up and just threw him back out there, so he didn't really feel...
Yeah, it was he was putting no weight on the leg when he's leaving the ice, and then he comes out there, and he's skating like a daisy, and he's fine. it was hilarious. But I was just like, I mean,
You'd be surprised the medication they have back there to be able to not even
Well,
feel the weight.
I mean, now I've never gone 20, 30 kilometers a second and collided knees, but I have collided knees before, and I will say, that is one of the most painful things that you can go through.
oh, it's not fun.
Your leg goes completely. It's like getting dead legged. Your leg goes completely numb for a little bit.
Yeah, so I
And-
mean, maybe he was fine, but at the same time, it's like if you're not fine, you're playing on the Boston Bruins. You guys are pretty much at this point a lock for the first in the Atlantic. I mean, what's the point in playing the rest of the season hurt? I mean, I don't see why, because you have to play a Metro team in the first round, probably, because that's who always gets the wild card spots in the East. And, the Metro's been really good in the top 5 of the teams for the last few years. So you're getting a good team in round 1. Just because they're the second wild card, that doesn't mean it's a bad team.
You're
That
not
just
getting
means
a fluke team,
it just means they play in the Metro. I mean,
which is tight. It's
Yeah.
a tight division.
I mean, you look at Philadelphia, where they were on the outside looking in for a long time this season. Then they get on a run, and they're tied for first in the Metro right now. So, I mean, the Metro's just a solid division, and I keep thinking that they're gonna be bad, and then it just never happens. They just keep every single team in the Metro just keeps making the right moves. They keep
Other than the
developing good
Devils.
players, except for the Devils, where they did everything right, and then just none of it panned out. I feel so bad for them, because it's so funny. Like the Taylor Hall trade, they didn't get that much for Taylor Hall.
They fleeced Edmonton to get him, and then they got fleeced.
Yeah, it's I mean, I guess that's karma. I mean, but still, that was just ridiculous. Anyways, back to the Bruins. One of the things we wanted to talk about this week was just kind of like the future of the Bruins, because, I mean, as we all know, Chara is a senior citizen.
Guy's walking out there with a
No,
walker.
he's not 20? I'm so surprised.
Yeah, I thought he was a rookie. So, I mean, they're an older team. Bergeron's an older guy, and
Krejci.
Yeah. I mean, Martian's got.
He's got some
I'd
years
say-
left, but he's up there.
I'd say the way he plays, he's got more time left than a lot of the guys on that team, because he's one of the few finesse people on that team. I mean, he doesn't really have a choice. He's pretty small.
Yeah.
So
Even Raskin Halak, which Halak's deal's coming up, so who knows what his future is, but Raskin's getting up there too, and he's not going to be this top-tier goalie that everybody has
Yeah.
known
Well,
him
the
to
thing
be.
with Halak is I feel like because his contract's up, he might actually be leaving, because
Just
the
pull
way
him.
he's been playing, he can prove that he can be the starting goalie.
Just pull a Anton Khudobin.
yeah, so
Dope.
the way we're going to do this is I have a list in front of me here of not all of the prospects, but I've written down some of the ones that are recent draft picks or just right now are doing well in the system. And we're going to run through the forwards, the defense, and then the goaltending. And I'm going to start with the forwards just because I think that's the biggest question mark with the Bruins right now.
Especially centers.
Yeah, so I think before I get into who they are, I think the main reason why there's such a problem with the Bruins prospect list is, one, they've been really good for quite some time, so all their draft picks are later in the draft. That's just how that goes. But also the way they draft is very good for defense and goaltending, where they draft a lot of the guys that are going to keep playing college hockey and come up to the Bruins system either their senior year of college and they decide to leave and play on the Bruins roster.
Or even just finish out the season and join afterwards.
Yeah, or finish it out and then, play wherever they fit in the system.
That's what I like about Sweeney is he's been drafting smarter. He's not drafting NHL-ready guys or guys that could be ready in the next year or two. He definitely sees the future in a lot of these kids, and he's willing to wait 4 to 5 years for these guys to get their chance.
But sometimes that is a bad thing. Like, I'm going to compare them to, like, the Celtics. Young players, if you keep going for the future, you're not going to get what you need now. Obviously, they got the team to build it now, but, like, they're going to retire, and you're going to still have all these young guys who are not ready to go out and contend.
Well, when we get to the prospects, you'll hear a lot of people that are actually ready to come up. I could honestly go on a little bit of a tangent and tell you about 5 or 6 guys that are ready to play in the NHL right now. It's just more Sweeney doesn't have the roster space to put them up there. So
Yeah,
the best thing is to play them down in the A.
There's a difference between being ready to play and being ready to have that top end talent.
Which
Like,
the Bruins don't really have any
And
top end talent.
the problem that I have with consistently drafting through the college system is it's very rare at the forward position that you get a player with such high end skill. I mean, other than like Johnny Gaudreau in Calgary, I can't really think of anybody who's a devoted elite forward in the NHL that played, all of their college career and then came up. Actually, I think Gaudreau left like his junior or senior year.
I'm pretty sure he was there a year, I thought.
Yeah, but even and he left because he had that top end elite talent, and he realized that instead of playing college, he could just go make a ton of money.
Even Ryan Paling on Montreal, he played 1 or 2 years at St. Cloud State. I hate them.
I don't even know
They're
where
the
that
Montreal
is.
Canadiens of college hockey.
All right.
They literally wear a jersey that resembles the Canadiens. Like, look it up. It's funny. But he was a high-end forward there, him and his brother.
Yeah.
And the Canadiens got him, and they did the right thing. They took their time. They let him play out college. He played a year or two, and then he went and made the jump. He came in. His very first game, he got a hat trick. That wasn't a fluke. I mean, he's got the skill.
Well, hat tricks tend to be flukes. You don't really consistently put those up every game.
No, I'm just saying, he's a very skilled forward, so it wasn't a fluke that he went out and got a hat trick. He performed well. He's been playing in Laval, I'm pretty sure, but I think that's the right thing for him, is to get used to playing big minutes and then bring him up and push him into the lineup.
Yeah. So let's jump right into the prospects. So I guess top of the system you could say is Jack Studnicka for the Bruins right now at forward. So he's playing with Providence, and he's 21 years old, 6'1", 172, as center, and he's got 22 goals and 24 assists in 56 games played. That's
7
46
of those
points.
are shorthanded goals.
Yeah, so obviously he plays on the PK.
He leads the AHL in shorthanded goals. And 2 of them I've seen, absolutely incredible. Now, the first one, they're both outlet passes, because if you're going to score shorthanded, it's usually a breakaway.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a nice outlet pass. He comes just barreling through. I mean, this kid has speed for days. And he comes through, and he hits the goalie with a Forsberg. Like, who has the balls to do that shorthanded?
If you guys don't know what a Forsberg is, essentially it's you're holding it on your forehand or your backhand, and you move the puck to the opposite side of you, and you let go of the stick with your bottom hand to get the puck as far away from you as you can, and then you just tap it in with your stick. And essentially, the way it works is you try to get the goalie to play aggressive and try to be on top of you. So by the time you pull that move off, there's no way he can get back. It's a hard move to do. So,
especially shorthanded.
Yeah. So next up on the list, we got Jake Schmaltz. He's 18 years old. He's a left wing. He's 6'1", 168. He's got 12 goals, 19 assists, and for 31 points in 45 games with the Green Bay Gamblers of the USHL.
That's
which,
pretty good.
if you guys don't know what the USHL is, it's the Tier 1 junior league in the United States. Their teams are primarily in like the central United States. There's no Tier 1 junior teams on the East Coast or the West Coast, for that matter. And he's committed to the University of North Dakota for next season. So another guy where he's going to go play his college career, try to develop that bigger, stronger game. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Is pretty skinny.
Yeah, by the time he comes up to being 20 years old, I wouldn't
think he'll gain another 20.
Yeah, I
pounds of
wouldn't be
muscle.
surprised if he's around 180 pounds, which in this day and age, that's, you don't even need he could play at 168 and be fine. I mean, you think of Mitch Marner for the Maple Leafs, he's 6 foot, and he's a pretty skinny kid. But the way he plays, it's fine. He's not a physical player.
You can get away with it on the wing, I think.
Yeah,
It's
it
just-
definitely on
it
the
makes
wing
it
you
a
can get
little
away
bit
with
tougher
it.
to win your board battles.
Yeah.
To fight for pucks. That's something Pasternak had a lot of trouble with when he was younger.
Yeah.
And he is what he is now because he's grown into his body.
Yep.
I guess he's gone. He went from like 160 something to 190.
Yeah, I mean he's our age, like he's a kid. I mean, how much? I mean, kid, how much do you weigh?
Now about 130, 135.
Yeah, and you're like what 5'7", 5'8", around there. So I mean, by the time you're 20, you're naturally just gonna put on some weight. I mean, that's what happens when you become a man. Like
Or a
you
dad.
you just put on weight. You gotta get that dad strength.
For me now.
You ain't a dad, bro.
Got the dad bod though.
Yeah, there
You're
we
rocking
go.
it.
Dad
Guy's
bod.
got the dad metabolism.
This guy really had to break out the drum kit. So Schmaltz is another one of those kids where we'll see how his college career takes him, but I think he's going to be another one of those guys where he plays the college career, but he never develops that top end talent because he's not one of those guys. He just that's not what he is.
And he's not really going to that good of a college.
Yeah, I don't really know much about North Dakota.
They're nothing to write home about. If he
But
was,
hey, think about it this way though. Maybe he goes to a university where they're not as good, but
he could play those top minutes.
yeah, he gets those top minutes, and maybe he does develop that top end talent because he's just on the ice for so long. So next up on the list, we got. So Dylan just handed me his phone here, and he's got Forsbacka Carlson on the list. I mean, we could talk about him if you guys want. I
Well, I
didn't.
just saw that he wasn't on your list, and I was like,
I didn't-
Isn't he an upcoming?
So I
like,
didn't write
that
him
can
down,
play now.
and the reason I didn't is because he's 23.
Okay.
So when you get to that age range, you can definitely still make the show, but you're a late bloomer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So who knows what you're gonna be?
Let me put it like this: he's had his cup of tea in the NHL. He left the AHL. He was in the AHL squad. He left for personal reasons to go back to Sweden and play. Now, he is someone that can come up and play now. He's really a third or fourth line guy. I mean, he's nothing special. He played 3 or 4 years of college, I think. I know he went to college. He played at BU, I'm pretty sure.
Okay,
He played with McAvoy. And
that's probably why they kept him.
He's a good player, two-way player. He's just nothing really special, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So moving right along here, we have a center, Curtis Hall. He's 19, 6'3", 196. Bigger kid, but
I've heard good things about him. Too.
one of those things again where you keep playing that college game, you keep getting older, you put on more weight. He's got 15 goals, 10 assists. For those of you doing the math out there, 25 points in 25 games with Yale as a
Hear that?
sophomore.
Point per game.
Yeah. Now, granted, Yale's a good school, definitely a good academic school. Not really known for their hockey, even though they're a pretty good school.
I
They're
will
not
say
known for any sport.
their
Yeah.
hockey team has actually been pretty decent.
Yeah, I think they're underrated, but they're not. They're not BU, BC, Northeastern.
Even Harvard has a pretty good, well-known hockey system.
Yeah, I mean they have a few NHLers that came out of Harvard, and then they retire and then they just go on to make boatloads more money because they got a degree from
And
Harvard.
2 football players that I can know of right now.
So yeah, he's one of those guys where if there's any one of them that I currently have on this list that does develop that top end talent, he's one of those guys where I look at him and be like, he's got a chance because he's a point per game in college, which is easier said than done.
Especially on a team that, I mean, they're not winning many games.
Yeah, so I mean, he hit the teammates he's playing with. Maybe he's not getting those crisp, outlet passes. He makes a pass and the guy just doesn't get the shot off because he thinks that he should just keep waiting when he should just get the shot. So the fact that he's still a point a game is pretty impressive. Is anything going out on that kid?
On him, not really. I don't know if you have him on this list.
Who do you got?
Johnny Beecher.
Are you blind?
I
Yeah,
am.
he is on there.
Is he?
That is the last person on the list. He's the next
I know,
guy.
that's why. Yeah.
That's who I wanted to get to because he's.
Do you not see those glasses? Of course he's
Yeah,
blind.
come on. I'm looking like Bubbles from Trailer Park Boys.
So since you wanted to go to John Beecher,
Yeah, Curtis
next
Wong
on
doesn't
the
mean
list
anything to me.
is John Beecher. What do you know? A center slash left wing. That's what Elite Prospects has him as. So first, right off the bat, I'm my immediate thought is center slash left wing. Okay, so he's left wing because a lot of the guys where they play both, they end up playing wing in the show, and that's what happens. Because if you're playing both, that means you're probably one of two things: not great in the dot, or you're horribly in your own end. Like you don't play the center role correctly.
Well, the other way that I see it is that he played in the USHL, and it's like the juniors. They just kind of throw people around. So he probably just kind of put on his resume, kind of like, yeah, I can play the wing or I can play center. I've played them both. I can do them both. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, that is. I mean, Mitch Marner played center most of his time in London, but not England, London, Ontario. But most of the scouts, when it was his draft year, like, this kid's just going to play center. Even though he's playing, wing. He's just going to play wing. Even though he's playing center in junior, he's going to play wing. So, yeah, he actually put up some really good points in junior. I don't have the numbers on me right now, but I can in a matter of 2 seconds here because of Professor Google. I have his college numbers up. I just don't have his...
He's going to a pretty good college, too.
Yeah, so he played 2 years of junior, and his last year he played only 27 games because he played for the U.S. National Under-18 team. So, and that league, which is more of like an exhibition type league, it's really, there's no like real championship per se. Even though I'm sure they probably have one, but in that league, in 36 games, he had 9 goals, 14 assists for 23 points. And then in his last junior season in the USHL, he had 6 goals, 14 assists for 20 points in 27 games. And then he's playing for the University of Michigan right now. And in 29 games, he has 7 goals, 7 assists for 14 points, which obviously isn't, that astounding. But, maybe he's still adjusting to the college hockey style. Maybe the system doesn't work for him as good as he thought it would when he committed to them.
Well, I mean, he's a freshman, so unless you're like a star level type of player, you don't really have the best freshman year.
Yeah.
It's just the way that goes. So 14 points in what, like 29 games you said?
Yep.
That's not that bad.
No, that's all right.
And he's playing on a very good college team.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of star power on that team. They're a very well-known college, University of Michigan.
Yep.
Who I don't like. My dad does. I'm a Spartans fan. But he's been doing pretty good for them, and I think his sophomore year will be the year that he really breaks out.
Yep. He's already got the college weight on him. He's 6'3", 209. So that's not the issue. Maybe he's just maybe he's just struggling, and that's all it is. Like, he has this skill to do what he needs to do, but maybe he's getting in his own head, or the bounces aren't going his way, or playing with it. Like, there's a mountain of things that it could be, but he's still adjusting, and that's the simplest way to put it. Yeah.
When he was drafted, I mean, that's something that I looked for when I looked him up to see what he was about.
Yep.
It's like, does he produce points? Because we need centers that are going to be able to play in the NHL and produce points.
Yeah,
I need to know if he's going to be that type of guy.
You need to find somebody who's going to be in that top 6 at the center position in the near future.
Because I'm not saying we need someone to be Patrice Bergeron, but we need someone that can play both ends of the ice. And Jack Stanikov can clearly do that because he's playing on the penalty kill.
Yeah.
But he's an offensive threat.
So we're gonna move on to defense, and I only have one player on this list, and the reason that I do is with Boston. I don't think it matters who you have in the system on defense.
They can just fill in.
No, it's just they're super
Very
good
good
at
defensive.
developing
Yeah,
defense.
that's what I'm saying. That you can
Yeah.
always just get somebody in.
I mean, like, every team has their strength at developing players, and Boston's is their defense. I mean, Carlo,
Jeremy Lauzon.
Jeremy Lauzon, who's the guy on the list. You have Grizzlick, who,
Grizzy played college.
yeah, he played college hockey as well. I think,
He was actually on the same pairing as McAvoy.
yeah. So, two peas in a pod there. And then, obviously, McAvoy.
That one's kind of a given, though. If you're going to draft a defenseman that high, they usually pan out.
Yeah, but I mean, again, if he gets drafted to a different team, maybe he doesn't get to where he is right now because, what? Hypothetically, let's say the Leafs drafted him. I don't think he'd be McAvoy if the Leafs drafted him because,
Yeah, I think he needed that college time to really find himself.
well, it's not even that. It's just
It's
like,
the Bruins could
And-
develop him. to
Yeah,
where
the
he is.
Bruins
The
could
Bruins
do
just
what
have
they
a
need to
better
do.
way of developing defensemen.
yeah, and you're playing alongside Zdeno Chara, who he can tell you every single thing you need to know and what the right thing to do is and exactly what situation
And do
you're
the complete
asking.
opposite.
Yeah,
when
like
playing.
he might not do it, but he's in his 40s. Cut the guys.
Yeah, he can't
some
really
break.
Well, he's
do it
one
at
of the
his
greatest
age.
defensive defensemen of all time.
Yeah, I mean he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer without a doubt. So especially with a kid like McAvoy, who he's got the great puck moving skills, but maybe he just needed that help on his own end on how he should play.
And he has really emerged as one of the better two-way defensemen in the league.
Oh yeah, I mean I think when Chara retires and Bergeron either falls off or retires, like basically their older core just slows down. I think they'll probably still be like in there just because they have Pasternak's going to be still there, obviously. Marchand, and then
And Charlie Coyle.
yeah, I mean, but then you have a number one defenseman. If you have a number one D-man who eats minutes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner without a problem,
You can tell him.
And
you can win. He gives you a shot to win every night, just like an
and
elite
having a
goaltender.
Brandon Carlo as well. I mean,
Yeah.
you have a solid 1-2 punch at right-handed D, which is very hard to come by.
Yeah. So the only player I have on this list is Jeremy Lauzon. So he's playing with Boston right now. He's 22, 6'2", 205. So, I mean, I've watched him play sparingly because, I just haven't watched as many Bruins games as I should. But, he plays for Boston. So he's got the system. He's got every tool necessary to be a successful top four defenseman in the NHL. It's just, is he going to put the work in? And I think he will.
I really like him. He works hard pretty much every time you see him on the ice. I mean,
Yep.
he busts his ass. And I've been following him for a little while because his name came up 2 or 3 years ago when he was drafted. They said, this kid could be the next kind of McAvoy, which people say things.
Yeah,
But
it
I wanted
was,
to keep tabs on it.
the opinions on him were funny because, like, some people had high hopes, and then other people were like, oh, this is a terrible pick. Why would they make this pick? But, obviously those guys are incorrect as of right now.
Because from what I can see from him, and I've watched pretty much every Bruins game, and if I do miss it, I have it recorded and I watch it.
What is that? Like your bedtime story? Just watching the third period?
So I just really enjoy watching his game because he keeps it simple. He doesn't do more than he has to, and he works hard to get the puck and move it out. He tries to keep his shifts limited, but he can eat minutes. Even though he's on the third pairing, I mean, they throw him on the PK, even though they don't have to. He worked so hard to become what he is and work to where he is. He played in juniors for a year, I'm pretty sure, after getting drafted, and they brought him into the AHL, and I mean, he climbed through the pairings.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things that's really important is unless you have a high danger chance and you watch him make a defensive play, other than that, you don't notice him in your own end, which is it has its good and bad things. But if you're watching a goal back, like a goal against back, I mean, and the reason it went in, you don't look at him right away. That's good because that means he, more often than not, was doing what he was supposed to be doing, and it was just a fault of, somebody else, or it was just bad luck, whatever it was. And to what you said about playing junior, he, I don't know how to pronounce the city, but the QMJHL, the Huskies, Rouen Noranda, I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's how you say it. He played a little bit for him. He might have had some injury troubles because he only played 39 games last year.
He might have also just played the 39 games and then made the jump.
No,
No.
that was all in the. So he was drafted in 2015. Then he played 46 games in the 15-16, 39 in the 16-17, and then he went to the A in 17-18. So moving right along here. We're gonna hop. Oh,
They're actually
somebody wants to say something.
Urho Vakanainen. I'm surprised you didn't put him on there.
Again,
or Jakob Zaboral.
it's Boston. I just don't think it matters. I think if you just draft somebody who's capable and has the skills necessary, like Boston's system can take care of the rest and get him to where he needs to be. I don't think it matters. I think they're that good of a team to where they can develop whoever they want on defense, anyways.
That's with Zaboral. I just wanted to put out he's really inconsistent. It's something he's been trying to work on. Because some nights, the past 3 weeks, there's been some nights he's literally been the best defenseman in the AHL. And then there's other nights where you wish he wasn't even on your team. Urho Vakanainen's been steady ever since coming off that concussion. He's someone that is an NHL-ready defenseman. He
plays on Boston, so
he can log minutes, but he's going to have some AHL time.
Yeah.
Jeremy Lauzon only came up because he's a left-shot defenseman that's capable of playing on his offside, which is a lot harder to do than people realize.
Yeah. So moving right along from allowed to now.
No.
Kid. Oh, okay.
No.
All right. Well, wrapping it up. All right, we're done. See you guys. So on the goaltenders here, we have two main guys. We got Dan Vladar, who's 22. He's a big boy, 6'5", 185. He's playing for Providence, and in 22 games, he has a .933 and a 1.87.
That is as the backup goalie.
Yeah. So
Backup goalie don't really have a lot of games either.
That's actually a pretty decent
No,
amount.
that's a decent
goalie,
chunk.
and that's really good numbers.
yeah, and being 185, obviously, some people would think, well, he's 6'5", he's got to weigh more than that.
It's like the Dominic Hasek effect.
Yeah, at the goaltender position, you kind of get away with it more because if you have less muscle, it's harder for you to get an injury in your groin or in your legs. So you need to have enough muscle in your legs and your core to have a strong push when you're doing a butterfly push, and that's also a lot of technique. So it's not just all muscle. But you goaltenders, they're terrified of having a groin injury or tearing an ACL or something because that can kill your career because
Look at Jonathan Quick.
Yeah, it's all legs. That's what the goaltending position is nowadays. It's all in your legs and your core.
And I mean, you want a comparable. Vladar is 2 inches taller than Tuukka Rask and 10 pounds more. So I mean, it's the same type of build.
Yeah, and I think Matt Murray in Pittsburgh, last time I checked, he's 6'4", I think, and he's 170 something. And the first time I heard that, I was like, Jesus. But then somebody on some broadcast network kind of explained how that actually is a benefit to his game. And I was like, okay, I could see that. That makes sense.
The only downside is his concussions.
Yeah. So it's going to be probably a couple of years until Boston looks at a new goalie. Or it could be as soon as next season if they can't get a deal done with Halak. We'll see.
Or someone that goes into free agency who looks like a capable backup.
Yeah. So the goaltending position in Boston is going to be tough, obviously, just because they have their number one right now, who has quite a few years left in him, and then you have, if he stays with the team, a guaranteed, basically a 1B. He can play 30, 40 games, in Halak, and he's been doing that for a few years for them because Rask
He had
isn't
a 2-year
always.
deal.
Yeah, I mean, Rask isn't always an elite number one every night, and he goes through slumps. So it's good to have a goalie who can, steal starts and get Rask to pick up his pace and get his game back to where he knows it can be.
Yeah, it's a good kick in the ass for both of them. They
Yeah,
help each other
100%.
compete harder. But Rask is also one of those guys that you can't overplay. You can't. It's not like Vasilevsky, where Vasilevsky can go and play like 60, 70 games and still be fine for the playoffs.
Yeah,
Rask
he had
needs
a-
to be on a 50-55 game pace.
Yeah, Vasi for Tampa had a season where he missed a month and still played 60 games because he's just that good. But so we'll see how Vladar takes his game, and we'll see with Halak what happens with him, because I mean, this was just me personally. If you can't get a reasonable deal done with Halak, because remember you have Krug that you have to get, and he puts up points on the back end, so he's going to want some money.
Yeah, I mean,
Thankfully for you, he's left-handed, so that means he's not going to be as expensive as he could if he's right-handed.
An update for people that don't know. He's asking for about 8.1 per. It's a 6-year, $49 million deal. Now,
Yep.
I don't know what the bonuses are looking at. That's just the annual average.
Yeah, I mean, Boston can definitely pay a bonus-heavy contract because their original 6 team, they make good money.
I think it'd be better to front load it, just because he's 29. He's on the smaller side of a player. Really, he's 5'9". He's playing defense.
Yeah,
So that's going to put a lot of wear and tear on your body. I think at the tail end of that contract, it could be a very bad contract if they don't front load it.
yeah. I mean, they could also, backload it and just say to themselves, well, we're not going to backload this too heavy, but it's going to be like $1 million to $2 million difference. So by the time he gets older, falls off, the cap is high enough to where it's not going to hurt them as much. It depends how they make that decision. Or they front load it so when he does fall off, he's easier to move.
Yeah,
There's
that's the
many
way I'd
ways.
look at it.
There's many ways you could go around it. So second on the goaltending list, we have Jeremy Swayman, who's 21. He's playing for the University of Maine. 6'3", 200. So a bigger kid, even though he's shorter than Vladar. And in 33 games, he has a 937 and a 2.13 for the University of Maine. And I don't think that they're that great of a team. I don't think.
UMaine is, I think, third at Hockey East last time I checked, but they are terrible. They allow so many shots, high danger shots
Yeah.
per game. He is having a Mike Richter Award type of season. He's
Yeah.
doing what Jonathan Quick did when he was in college.
He has made 1,051 saves and allowed 71 goals.
Stud.
Yeah, I mean that's shocking.
That this kid is. He seems like he's the real deal.
Yeah. Now, granted, I don't think you can get these kind of stats in college unless you're making them yourself. The way that they could play defense is they do allow a lot of shots, but they're all from the outside. You'd have to watch some game in and game out and take those numbers to really get a good sample size. But even still, 1,051 shots, there's going to be some good shots in there, obviously.
I guarantee you that 45 to 50% of those shots are high danger.
Yeah, I mean, you can't back that up, obviously.
I can't, but I guarantee you that they are. UMaine just is not that good of a team. They're riding the back of a really good goaltender. I'm pretty sure Quick played for UMA.
Okay.
And it was the same deal. When Jonathan Quick played in college, he carried a team that had no business being in the standings.
Yeah, I mean, like, Hockey DB with Swayman only has the last 4 years of his hockey career. They have 1 year of him playing in the USHL, had a 914 there. And The next 3 are his 3 years so far with UMaine, and he's got a 921, 919, and now a 937.
Those
So-
are pretty good. As like the 937 especially.
Yeah,
But those are pretty good for college hockey. Like you can draft a goalie that's in the high like 880s and still have a solid goaltender. Just because college it just doesn't reflect.
Yeah, and
Unless they're putting up
it's,
numbers like this.
kind of interesting looking at his record. There's not one season where he has really a good record. Like this season is his best record, and it's only 17, 11, and 5.
Like I said, they're not a good team.
Yeah, I mean his year in junior, he was 7, 18, and 3, and he's still a 914. I mean, he faced 972 shots there, allowed 91 goals. I mean, like he seems like he's gonna be a future number one.
Barring injuries and barring anything ridiculous that happens to him, really.
Yeah, and I mean honestly,
I think he's the guy.
the best thing that could happen for Boston is that one of those two guys steals the job from Rask. That's honestly the best thing that could happen.
Another guy in the system who they have high hopes for is Kyle Kaiser. He's
Yep.
playing in the ECHL. He played in the A, but with the emergence of Vladar.
I left him on the list because he's been in the E for a couple months, and he's not injured, and he's played a game or two, I think.
Yeah.
So he's the third goalie in the E right now, so that's tough.
It's rough because, one, he's on the Atlanta Gladiators, and they're not good at all. They face a lot of shots, and high danger shots at that. Like, they're a bad team. A lot of people that follow ECHL hockey know that they're a bad team.
I mean, we'll see where he goes. Like,
His numbers
if he
really
keeps
aren't
doing
there,
the
but
right things and he keeps battling, I mean, he could take his career somewhere to maybe where he's not an NHLer, or he could just be a career AHLer and then move on to other things. You know, maybe he just does a career in coaching or whatever. But
the way I see it is he's going to be like a fringe starter. Kind of like Scott Darling when he came up with the Blackhawks. He was somebody that should have been starting in the A, but could come up and back up if need be, and he could start a few games.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's got a long road ahead of him. We'll see what happens. But I'm looking at the East standings right now. They are like exactly 500. They're 28 and 28, and
They're a bad team.
I think they have like an OT loss or something. But I mean, still, that's on a team that's obviously not very good. The fact that he can't find some starts, that is such a struggle.
It could also be like, obviously they're trying to ride the hot hand. Maybe they have two other goalies ahead of him that are just obviously playing better and want to get them instead.
Yep.
So, who knows how the situation's being handled. It's just more, I wanted to bring him up because he is somebody that has shown he has the skill.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just more of he puts himself into positions he doesn't need to be in to be able to make those skillful saves.
Yeah,
I think he relies
read
too much on it.
I read a couple of reports where he's just kind of a too wild positioning wise as a goalie. But so I mean, we've been talking about the Bruins for 48 minutes, so we're gonna move on. We're gonna briefly touch on the GM meetings because there's really not a lot to talk about. The only real thing is they're going to make a change to the offsides rule. They didn't really say what it was. They pointed, they pointed to the parts of it that they're gonna change, but they really didn't say what they're gonna do.
It's gonna be what they're looking to do, and I don't want to say it like it's guaranteed because it's the NHL.
We can't put words in their mouth.
They want to make it like football, so if you break the plane, then it's all good. So your skate doesn't have to be on the ice anymore. Your skate would be able to be lifted above the ice, but as long as it's breaking the plane, you'll be all set.
Yeah, which makes it easier for those guys to drag that foot, and it's just going to be more definitive because like if you're really fighting over if a millimeter of his blade is touching the ice or not, I mean, like, what are you doing?
And on top of it, I mean, go out there and skate. Tell me how many times your back foot is actually on the ice when you're pushing off.
Yeah.
Or trying to make a play. You're mainly on one leg.
Yeah, your feet lift a lot, so it's really hard to drag that foot and keep it on sides.
So I like that. The other thing was the cap projections. It's
Yeah,
either going to go up by $500,000 or upwards of $4.
Yeah, so it's going to be at somewhere between 84 and 88, so it's going to be 84 because it's the NHL. They just wanted to make everybody get their hopes
It's
up.
like the last time they did this.
It's going to be 84, maybe 84 and a half.
They were
maybe.
like, oh, we can raise it to 82, or it could also be up to 84. Who knows? And then next thing you know, oh yeah, the cap is 82.
This has nothing to do with the show. Is my storm door open?
I'm about to go find out.
Thank you, Dylan.
Yep.
Because I'm pretty sure that's what that banging is. Yeah, we're gonna keep going.
Mind you, Dylan was also the last one in, so he should have closed the door.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Did you though? Just go. Christ Almighty.
So while he's doing that,
This would be the perfect time to get into a little rant that we wanted to do.
yeah. So as you guys know, I'm a Leafs fan, and they played the Kings last night, and it went to a shootout, and the score was 0-0 going to a shootout. So that means that both goalies got a shutout, but one of them had to win and one of them had to lose in a skills competition that is not the sport of hockey. It's obviously I came out in the short end of the stick, and I probably wouldn't be as upset if they won, but both goalies played fantastic, and only one of them gets to win, and
It's ridiculous.
yeah. And Brian Burke actually had a pretty decent idea that I kind of like. So basically what they would do is they would get rid of offsides. The blue line doesn't exist. And instead they have a shot clock. So it forces shots to happen. Was that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
The man that shan't be wrong strikes again.
I did. Dumbass.
It's a little windy out, all right? A little windy.
Just
So we're
learn to
talking
close a
about
goddamn
abolishing
door.
the shootout right now.
All right.
So I'll fill you in. So Brian Burke, he's a former GM, and now he kind of works the media scene in Canada. One of his ideas was they're going to get rid of. His idea is that for 3-on-3 overtime, they get rid of offsides, so the blue line is non-existent, and instead they have a shot clock. So it forces shots, it forces plays, it forces the game to have a potential end.
Okay.
Now, I don't know how they would do that. I mean, I guess they'd just teach the refs basically how to ref it like a basketball game, and that's that.
Basketball, like baseball too, where the pitcher has to be on the mound and get ready to pitch by a certain time now. That's
Yeah.
how they speed the game up there. A little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, baseball is still the snail's favorite sport. So I mean, there's a mountain of things you could do in 3-on-3. You could quite literally do something as little of making it 8 to 10 minutes long instead of 5. I mean, that in itself would end the game more often.
The way
than not.
I would like to see it go is they raise it to 10 minutes of 3-on-3, just to kind of make it like a double overtime, I guess. It's 10 minutes, it's half a game, it's overtime, it's 3-on-3. If you guys don't score, then you guys deserve to tie. Just end it in the tie.
I mean, the way I kind of think about it is I kind of like Brian Burke's idea. So I mean, it's 3-on-3. It's technically not even hockey. So if you're gonna do that, just go full arcade with it. Make it, no offsides. Put a shot clock on if you want to. Make it 10 minutes long. And if you somehow do not score a goal, is a tie really all that bad?
I think getting rid of the
how do you get the
offsides.
points chosen.
I think getting rid of the offsides would do it. I don't think you necessarily need a shot clock because obviously the teams want to set up a perfect play. But if it's 10 minutes long, if it's a 10-minute long period and it's 3-on-3 and you guys know you don't have offsides, you're gonna have so many people cherry picking.
Yeah.
You're gonna get so many outlet passes and Omahas. It's ridiculous. Like you're gonna get the action that you want.
Yeah, I mean, if you get rid of offsides, there's no way that there isn't a goal.
And to touch upon the points, I think it. Personally, I think it should just stay. You get 2 for a win, nothing for a loss. I think if you guys go to overtime, they should eliminate the pity point. I think whoever wins in overtime gets 2 points. Whoever loses gets nothing. If you guys tie, you each get a point.
The only thing is, I know like a lot of people watching sports don't like ties in the first place. That's one of the things people hate about football.
But that's
Is
why
that you can tie.
That's why I say you bump it up to half a game of overtime, pretty much. You're playing.
Yeah, but where's the difference?
Or
with
half
that
a
and, like,
period.
football as well, where you have a whole game, almost a half of a football game there.
It's just like if you're not gonna score in that time period,
Well,
you
like,
just deserve the tie.
The thing with football's overtime is the fundamental elements of the game doesn't change to promote scoring.
No, but
So at least with hockey, you're making it 3-on-3. You're opening up that ice. You're making it more likely that they're going to score a goal. Like if the NFL is like,
well, the NFL.
if they just said if they said screw it, overtime's 5-on-5 in football, guarantee that there would never ever be a tie. There would never be a tie. There's no way.
no, but
There's too much room.
they also have if you have to get a touchdown the first possession you get. If you get the ball first, you have to have a touchdown. A field goal does not count as winning the game. That's why I was like, I don't have a problem with shootouts. I don't know.
I just think it's a terrible way to decide a good game.
Yeah, it's just like
Another way that I guess
don't
you could
know.
do it, and this would make it a lot more entertaining. Hear me out. 3-on-3 overtime, 5 minutes. Nobody scores. You go to another overtime, 3 minutes, no goalie. 3-on-3.
I mean, if you want to end it, there you go.
Exactly. It's a sudden death. It's basically whoever scores wins. At that point, it's whoever scores wins, and you know they're going to try. It's 3-on-3 with no goalie. You know they're going to try.
Or if you want to do it that way, you keep the 3 minutes, keep the no goalie, but basically you make it like basketball. Whoever has the
Just
most
5-on-5.
No. Whoever has 3-on-3, no goalies. Whoever has the most points by the end, they win the game.
That's a good way to settle it too, I guess.
Yeah, I
And-
mean, just because like if they did it like just the first goal and the no goalie thing wins, it'd be over in 2 seconds.
And
Yeah.
people being outrageous.
Yeah. So
All the players
and
being
it would be super fun because people would keep watching the game to watch that little segment of the overtime. Like that'd be super fun.
Like at that point, you know there's going to be goals. It's like you're watching to see a player put himself in a ridiculous position that he shouldn't put himself in to make a save.
Or a player does something nuts to get around the guy in like the neutral zone or something. Like people going for like full length shots right at the end, like a buzzer beater. Like hockey would have a buzzer
I would
beater.
really like that.
And like they could do something like where if they get the shot off before the clock hits 0, that shot counts. We'll see where it goes. It's a buzzer beater. Why not? Even if it's on the ice, who cares? Because obviously it's going to hit the ice. It's hockey. It's not like basketball. But still, like, make it full fun. If you want to make it end, make it full fun. Because it would end. There's no way.
I'm putting a petition up on Twitter after this. I'm tagging every single hockey insider. We're going to get this to happen. This is going down.
Good luck with that. Good luck with that.
I'm going to spearhead this. Okay?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, like... I mean, this is a little ageist, but, I mean, I don't care. If those GM meetings had the younger crowd in it more, like... And I mean, like, not even, like, Kyle Dubas and Arizona's GM, they're young, but they're in the 30s. I'm talking, like, us young, like, 18, 20-year-olds, like, just...
Yeah, well, good luck with getting any
Just,
job.
yeah, like,
I
it's
thought
never
as
gonna
a
happen.
GM.
It's never gonna happen, and I know it isn't, but it's, like, just get fresh ideas from people that aren't in the league. You know what I mean? Just get outsiders' perspectives. Get people that
like
don't
to watch it and want
no. Get people that don't watch hockey to have these ideas for overtime and stuff like that. Because like, if you want
It's
to
what
grow
they
the
wanna see.
game, if you want to grow the game, you need to bring the audience that currently does not watch hockey. And I mean, I think the NHL. I mean, people really don't like Gary Bettman, but he's done a fantastic job of making this league more money. I mean, he's been doing it for 20 years.
I think he's just a stubborn idiot with
He's
trying to
well,
force.
he's a lawyer, man. Like, what do you want from the guy?
I'm just
he
saying-
speaks for the owners. He's a lawyer.
I think he's just stubborn for trying to keep putting teams in areas that maybe shouldn't have one. Like, I don't think Buffalo should have a team. Carolina's earning it.
Buffalo, they make so much money, and Buffalo's ownership is so bad, and they still make money. It's it's like the Bills. Like, the Bills were terrible for a
I
long
don't think
time.
they should have a team
Bills
either.
Mafia,
Yeah, like
But I
they
love
but
Bills
drew
Mafia.
it in. That area draws in
yeah, like
sports because they don't want to be compared to the Jets or Giants. They don't want to be compared to the. God bless them. They didn't have a good hockey team for a while because they had the Rangers, Islanders, and Sabres.
Actually, Sabres used to be pretty good.
Yeah,
they didn't
but,
make playoffs. Though.
like-
they were good at the beginning of this season, and what happened there?
for the
No,
amount of
they used to
people
be
in
like a
New
Stanley
York,
Cup
Oh yeah,
contender.
I know that.
for the amount of people in New York, like the state geographically, it makes sense for Buffalo to have a team. And on top of the fact that they make good money.
They always draw in the tickets.
Yeah, they always do, no matter how bad the ownership is. Especially with I'm talking about the Sabres. Like, their ownership doesn't really do a great job.
They're terrible.
Even with the Bills, they were 1-15, and they're still drawing in people who ever
but
could
they
bring
have
a-
a-
Yeah, they're
they
still
have an
backing up the
entertaining-
Brinks. They're backing up that Brinks truck no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, it
they
doesn't matter.
have an entertaining fan base. Like, I would love to go to a Bills game
Oh.
just to be in the Bills
Not
Mafia.
even being,
Oh, it'd be so
not even
fun.
going to Buffalo. It was fun to go to a Bills game. Just driving out of there, there was 50 tables broken. Just leaving Gillette.
Like, that right there, that is fun.
That is such a weird tradition. And then they have that guy that holds the burger and the bun.
Yeah.
And people spray ketchup. Like, what? Why? But it's fun. He has a good time doing it. And he's like in his 60s, and he still goes. It's hilarious.
That's the beauty of sports. It brings people together.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I mean, I have to praise Brett Bettman for keeping a team like Arizona, because the Leafs wouldn't have Austin Matthews if Arizona wasn't a team, because he was born in California, raised in Arizona. You know what I mean? You have to do those things to grow the game.
Yeah, no.
If a team's number one center comes from Arizona, Arizona's never getting moved. It's never going to happen because of that player alone. It takes one player to make it.
I think there's teams that personally shouldn't have a team, and I'd like to see it in other areas. But I understand why he does it, and it's why I've gotten off his case on that.
So
Yeah, I
what-
mean, sorry to interrupt you, but the
Yeah,
Hurricanes,
go
you mentioned them.
I think
You know,
they're
it-
finally starting to earn.
Yeah, I mean, it takes the
team.
team being good, obviously, but they've been gaining fans, and they've had consistent, better attendance at their home games for the last couple of years. I mean, good on them.
I mean, they just weren't. Sorry, they just weren't doing anything to try to grow their team until recently.
Yeah,
They started doing that storm surge stuff that people hated on. I like it. I think it's fun. The players are having fun. They're having a good time, and that's what people want to see.
yeah. I mean, if you want to grow the game, you gotta go full fun, because hockey's a hard sport to get into because of how high that buy-in is to start playing. You gotta make it fun. You gotta do it.
So what were you gonna say, Dylan?
I was gonna say, we were having that conversation the other night. Teams aren't gonna move and change their names and everything unless
Yeah.
they start being bad, AKA the Clippers.
Yeah, I mean,
It's,
in this day and age, not a lot of teams move just because there's so much media attention.
yeah, it's more that teams are getting added than more than moved. The last teams that really moved was in football, and we had San Diego go to LA and St. Louis go to LA, and right now we got the Raiders going to Las Vegas.
Yeah, I mean,
It's more; those are more of
They change locations, just not who they are.
yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Which is a question on the Raiders because they have a really big fan base out there.
yeah, that one I don't.
The NFL they saw that the population for hockey with Vegas got huge. They want to do the same thing for football.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that when the Raiders come to Vegas, I'm really hoping that the Golden Knights still get that good attendance.
I think they will. I think they've made such an impression. I think
Yeah.
they make these theatrics out of these home games.
Mm-hmm.
They're just so entertaining.
That
to
and
watch.
Oakland is still kind of a joke.
Yeah, and I mean, the Knights are also kind of grandfathered in because they've been there. I mean, they haven't been there for long, but
But
still
they still
they
made
were
it
there.
territory.
Yeah, they were there first.
Yeah.
So And on top of the fact that, yeah, they are a really good team, and they're going to be for quite a few years. So, if the Raiders don't get Brady or something, and and they're still just not a great team, they're going to probably get attendance, but most of them are probably going to be Oakland people driving out there.
all the way out.
Yeah.
That or people that just bet money on that game and want to go see it because they can get into it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great excuse for any California football fan to go to Vegas.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go watch the Raiders and definitely not going to lose several $1,000 at the casino.
I'm going to finally see a nice, good football field for them.
Yeah, I'm
after
just
so
going.
long.
Just going for the football game, I swear.
Yep, just football.
Just a football game.
Yep.
I'll be back in 3 days.
If I lose our
Month goes by.
to the house, it's fine.
It's a 7-hour drive. What do you mean you're going to be gone for 3 days? I just listen. I just want to take my time. I'm probably going to be a little hungover. I might be drunk the next day. Who knows? Got to play it safe.
Raider Nation, dude.
All right, so we're going to move on here from the hockey. Well, I have on the list here that we're going to do the Brady update, but since the Astros update is going to take a mere 2 seconds, I'm just going to do that.
Let's get that. Hit by pitch.
Yeah, there's unfortunately been no hit by pitches.
Unfortunately?
But
The health of the players, that's an unfortunate thing.
They're cheaters. I don't care.
there has been some good to come out of that.
Uh-huh.
Nationals pitcher Trevor Bauer decided, I don't like the sign stealing. I'm going to tell the batters what I'm throwing.
And it's not what I'm throwing. It's a fastball. I don't care what the catcher says. Get ready for it.
He's letting the player know that he's throwing a pitch. You hit it or you don't.
And let's just say his ERA isn't going to be the best either after that.
You know what? I think it's a good form of protest, though.
Oh, it's a good form of protest, but...
You can't steal my sign if I give it to you.
I think he gave up 2-3 home runs that night, too, over it, and it's spring training.
Yeah, but it's spring training.
Spring
Who
training
cares?
doesn't really
Yeah, well,
care.
let's see if he continues it.
But yeah, I mean, so there's been nothing with the Astros. Unfortunately, they've played 50-something innings since the last hit by pitch.
I was
So we're
watching it
impatiently waiting.
Yeah, I was watching it the other day, hoping that when the Red Sox played them, that they'd get hit. But then I realized we're also in the talk of cheating scandal as well, so they're not gonna.
Yeah,
draw attention
the
to
Red Sox
themselves
are
right
gonna
now.
they're gonna lay low for a little bit.
That'd be the equivalent of me and you cheating in a game to beat Leo.
Yeah.
And I cheated less than you, so I just throw you under the bus and go, "Ha, you stupid cheater! Screw you!"
Yeah. So moving on from the Astros, we're gonna get to a little bit of a Brady update.
We are now almost there into free agency to find out which team he will go into. But the teams that have fallen out are the Chargers, the Colts, and the Giants. And right now, Vegas seems like they're slipping out too. The teams that are still heavy strong for them, and I do not know why the first team I'm saying, Tampa Bay really wants him. Even though he doesn't want to go there. He does not like that coaching scheme.
The Bucks.
I keep forgetting that the Bucks exist.
Yeah, because they're
I'm so
They're
new to
relevant.
football. I keep forgetting that they're there.
And the Raiders are actually going to go after Winston if they don't get Brady. They're going to go for Mr. 30-30 himself.
Hey man, if you could just outscore the mistakes, you're all good.
And we know that doesn't work, though.
You know what? You keep trying.
Just keep giving her a go.
Just
Doesn't matter.
force it.
So the teams that are for Brady are the Patriots, the Titans, and the Niners. And the Niners came out of nowhere, but he wants to go and play for his team that he's grown up around and kind of slip by and let him go to pick 199. And they have that old Super Bowl team. I feel like he should go there and see if Jimmy G will come back here, because that means if Jimmy G gets released, the only teams that will go after him is Indianapolis, and he doesn't fit the scheme there, and us. So we'd get him back. And
Us
maybe
being
for
New
cheaper.
England.
Yeah, New England.
I just don't think Indy has an offensive line, and I've not that the Patriots really have an amazing one. It's there.
No, but another
When
player
healthy.
that they can go after right now is Trent Williams. They just told him that get ready to get traded.
But I just don't think Indy's a fit there because one, no offensive line really. I mean,
there's
they're
only
building
one
on
young
it.
line guy, young O lineman.
But on top of it, their scheme It's not for a strong arm type of player.
They throw it up and throw a dart and say, all right, this is what we're running this week.
Like, you have to be someone that can be quick on your feet to be in that.
That's why I feel like they should stay with Jacoby there anyways and see what happens, because he showed that he could build that team. They were a playoff team until Tennessee decided, oh yeah, we're going to turn this thing around and like make the playoffs.
Yeah, Derrick Henry's going to absolutely carry us on his shoulders and set records for the amount of yards that he's going to eat.
And the thing that killed the Patriots with Brady, going back to that, is Bill and Brady finally got in contact. They finally started talking. But Bill treated him like he's still a part of his team. He's still the client, like, you can't go anywhere. And Brady was not happy with that whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it took him this long to talk, I don't know which end was the one that didn't want to.
It's Bill. Bill is trying to say, I own you. I know you're not going to go anywhere. Because at first it was Tennessee and Tampa, and he could be like, yeah, I know you're not going there. I can treat you the way I want to treat you.
Yeah, I think Bill's kind of treating it like, I made you. You're my bitch.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You're not going anywhere. And then once when the 49ers kicked in, that's when it's like, what are we going to do?
Now I think it's more he's trying to push Brady out. I didn't think Brady was going to stay really that confidently at all.
No.
I think it was kind of sure that he was leaving.
I said myself, I'm a Brady person, but I don't want to see Brady back after the way he played last season. We went 8-0 because of the people around him, not because of him. It wasn't like 2008 where it was because of him we made it to where we were. Or not 2000. The year that we went undefeated to the Super Bowl and lost to Eli.
7.
That was 7, yes, because the year afterwards he got injured. But
we were 6 years old.
Now that the...
Still paid attention.
I was 5.
Yeah.
Oh, you weren't even... Yeah, you weren't even 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kid.
Yeah, no, that's why we call him kid.
I think the Niners coming into it, I think Belichick's kind of trying to play it like, leave. I didn't want you. I wanted him in the first place.
If I can get him back,
so if I can get him back,
I will.
Then yeah, that's what I want to do.
And he'll build his team around him. And I will be happy if we don't have to go out and give out a first round pick, because then we can get Jimmy back and we can go get receivers that for him and defensemen for him.
Well, you could even use that first round pick to get Williams, because I think that was the asking price last time.
That was the asking price. Trent Williams, or Stephon Diggs or Odell Beckham to go get weapons for Jimmy, because Jimmy out in the Niners, he had young talent, then he had Samuels, who was old. He could do what he was doing, but he was still crusty and old, just coming off of a Broncos team that broke him.
Yeah.
So I feel like that would be the best option if we don't have to trade for him, if they just release him, because they're not going to get penalized if Jimmy gets released.
Yeah, they didn't guarantee too much of that contract, I don't think. So
not at all, and they already went through it. And they're already iffy with him, like because of his injuries in the past. He is a player that gets injured very easily. The first season, he actually got a start because Brady was suspended. He got injured because on the second week, I think it was his thumb or his legs. And Jacoby Brissett had to start the last week.
Which helped because we were able to showcase him and throw him off.
And throw him out and go and get Dorsett, who did something that season for us and kind of helped.
And then now nobody knows who he is.
Yeah, now he's just disappeared after the first couple weeks.
He's like that meme where the guy just throws up a peace sign and disappears.
It's just one of the flexible receivers. But that is what's going on with the Brady Watch. Nothing's going to be really big right now until next week. The next couple of weeks are going to be big for sports, period, because we got the free agency. We got March Madness coming up. And we got the start of baseball.
Go Dukies.
Alright. Actually, next week I actually want to get brought up and see. I want you to actually kind of look into it, see who do you think might go all the way.
He's just going to look for the jerseys or the best name.
I know that.
Yep, I'm going to pick the coolest jerseys and the best name.
I know how that goes by now.
Yeah. I'll bring it out, but I know you kind of know the sport, and you were going to do a bracket with me anyways. I want to see who you think will go all the way. The Blue Devils actually haven't been good lately.
I don't care.
So,
that's my team.
All right, if you want.
Them and Ohio State.
They've been losing to bad teams. Ohio State is a decent basketball team right now.
All right,
so what's next on the list?
I'm gonna get a pillow, get a blanket.
All right, so we're in there.
That means
you guys are gonna talk about some basketball.
Dylan, give me your thoughts on Celtics.
Celtics right now. I feel like they're in a tough spot right now because Jaylen Brown is out again for this coming game. Hayward's injured. And
What a fucking surprise.
And Tatum missed that one game, and I found out it was because his child got him sick. And I found out that game as well against the Nets that we blew. Yes, it's a sad game that we blew.
It's a game you shouldn't. It's just not a lead you should blow.
But I forgot he was restricted to minutes because of his injury.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot all about that, and he's actually getting 20-25 minutes again. But the stats I want to actually call out right now, and it's kind of like because the season's almost over. I want to compare the point guard we had last year to what we had this year. Kyrie had better stats. Points per game, he had 23.6. And Kemba right now has 21.8. Assists, Kemba has 5.0. Kyrie has 6.9.
Nice.
But the thing that I like the most
Keep yourself in front of the mic, by the way, Dylan.
Tatum and Brown.
You can pick it up if you want. That's better for you.
Tatum and Brown are scoring a lot more, and they're getting better because of a better leadership. Tatum is going to 30 points a game.
Yeah,
and Brown's going to
undeniably
20 points a game compared to 15 points a game and 13 points a game.
Tatum has been the dog. He's been the guy. I mean, he has been playing some terrific basketball.
Mm-hmm. Tatum's our future. And like that was one of the things I was gonna ask you, and I know you're over here with your pillow, but who do you think is the better player in Boston right now, Tatum or Pasternak?
Me. I'm better. I'm the best around.
Life really rips, man. I mean, it all really depends. I think if you're looking for a high-octane performer, like who's a better person to watch perform, I'd say Pasternak, because I think he's just more entertaining to watch. But if you're going to go overall, I mean, I guess I'd have to agree with Tatum, just because I think his overall game is better than Pasternak's.
He can play both offense and defense.
Which Pasternak can play in his own zone, but I mean, he's a winger. It's not prioritized. It's not something that's on his mind at all.
The way I think of it is, I pick Tatum. It's if you take Pasternak off the ice, the Bruins could still win. You take Tatum off the ice. Very off the court.
My guy Tatum.
Place.
My guy Tatum.
Off the floor.
And here comes Boston Bruins star forward Jason Tatum.
If you take him off the floor,
it'll
be a slim game.
Jason Tatum, kid. Here he comes down the wing. He shoots. He scores!
Yep, that clipped.
Did it stop us? No, we're
nope.
good.
F to the headphone users.
Yeah, R.I.P.
And all right.
But yeah, I do agree with you on the Tatum thing. Overall, I think he's the bigger.
It's just sad going with the Celtics stuff. It is sad that we are losing games we should be winning this season, and it's sad that we're fighting for that second seed. We should be above the Raptors because the Raptors aren't doing as good as they did last year because they don't have Kawhi.
Yeah, but they're it's more of a team bonding type of thing. They're really close.
I know, but that's what happened. We actually got better. What happened was our shitty chemistry. We handed it off to Philadelphia, and they're now falling apart down there. While we actually became better, there was Marcus Smart we have to see if he gets suspended because he was fighting with a ref. He got ejected from the Garden because he got in face of a ref. He didn't touch him. He didn't do anything.
That's the downside of Marcus Smart. Now, he brings so much to the game of basketball for the Celtics.
He just has an attitude.
He just has a hard time controlling his emotions.
It's good when he's on the court because it gets into people's head, but it's bad when he gets to the refs. But
I've really enjoyed seeing the progression of the players. Like Jaylen Brown went from someone that played bully ball to
who he's even on the court to now. You need him on that court.
He's someone that can go out there, make some key defensive stops, and then go out and just completely dominate on the offensive side of things.
I just wish our team can hit more threes. That's the only thing that... Watching the last couple of games, like when we play the Rockets, they're shooting up threes, and it would just bounce off the rim. That's the thing that's going to kill us. We're a shorter team. That's something that's going to kill us. And I also don't like how Enes Kanter just disappeared.
Yeah, what happened to him?
He's off the bench. They started Tice over him, and we paid Canner, I think, a good amount of money to be able to be our starter. He was that big famous guy other than Kemba that we dragged in here to be able to win that championship, and he's off the bench.
So with that going on, does that make a bigger push to try to get Boogie?
I think that talk died. I don't think they're gonna go for him. They need points off the bench too, and I want them to get Isaiah, because Isaiah can get those points off the bench, but they are too dependent on not losing their rookies.
Can they afford 2 minimum contracts?
They can afford that.
Because if you can get Boogie and IT off the bench, like, yes, I know you don't want to lose your rookies, but you can just send them down to the G League.
But that was a problem with the trade deadline. They don't want to lose those people. They don't want to lose because they could have traded for those players easily. That like Drummond, they traded a bag of chips for that dude to go to Cleveland, and they didn't want to get rid of any of the players like Green.
Dump Wanamaker.
They didn't want to do it. Wanamaker is actually one of your best point players off the bench.
Yeah, but for IT?
IT, yeah, I understand. Like, I'd drop Green. I'd drop Poirier, that guy we got from...
Yeah, Poirier, I'd drop that guy.
But they don't want to do it. That's their whole problem with Ainge. They don't want to let go of those people that they should get rid of to be able to make their bench better. And that's their whole problem there.
I mean, they see things with these players that we don't, so maybe there's something there that...
Yeah, but if you're not... They don't even see the court. Like, why waste a roster spot? Like, send them down to the G League with Taco and watch them progress down there instead of wasting your 15-man roster spot.
Because you could have 2 solid NBA players ready to come off that bench right now.
And be able to score. Now...
And I think they need somebody on the front court that can play bully ball, like Boogie.
Yeah, Boogie can do that. And I think they need somebody that can go out and score, which is IT.
Coming off the bench, I think that'd be ideal for him.
Yeah, because
I don't think he's a starting. I don't think he's a starting guy anymore. I think
he can come off the bench and
go
get the points that we need when
Tatum
and Kemba's on.
If he can come off the bench and drop like 15 to 25 a game, that'd be nice.
Yeah, and that's what we need because the other team catches up when our starters aren't on. Now, my question is comparing. So, who would be the Bruins playing in the first seed right now? Would it be I think it was the Islanders, right?
Dude, it changes every 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's the Metro. They change.
You can get off the app and then go back and onto it and just
it's the Islanders right now.
It is the Islanders.
Yep.
And the Celtics would be playing the 76ers right now. Who do you think has it
Bad
easier?
Name.
Who do you think will be making it further?
I think Philly would put up a fight. I think that actually might be a 7-game series. It all depends on the health of the Celtics, which is always a big question because it just seems like half of your star players are fragile, and one of your...
my bad, I'm wrong.
That's a shocker there.
Who is it?
It would be Brooklyn.
Kyrie Revenge
Another
Tour.
bad name.
Kyrie
if we
Revenge Tour.
If we win the game tonight, we'd be going up to the 2nd seed, and we'd play Brooklyn. If not, we'd be playing Indianapolis right now.
Okay, well, we're doing it as of right now.
I know. Right now, we'd be playing Indianapolis with Victor Oladipo, Miles Turner, and Sabonis.
I think Indy could win that. I think that's a very winnable series.
They haven't been really able to beat us this year.
They have it, but I mean, playoffs is just a different story.
Yeah, but they don't really have that team that's been in playoffs. We've had those teams. Our rookies
I'm saying it's a winnable series for them. I think the Celtics would win. I think it would just be a better series than people would think.
Because right now it would be Bucks, Orlando, Toronto, Brooklyn, Boston, Indianapolis, Miami, Philly. And that would be a really good matchup right there. Is the Miami and Philly game.
So, I mean, I think we both make it out of the first round.
Yeah, I think that, but who do you think will go further? I feel like the Celtics have an easier schedule compared to...
It really just depends on who they play. I think the Bruins are playing the easiest schedule they could possibly get.
Yeah, but after a while they have to probably meet up with...
They're playing 2
DC,
games. They're playing 2 games
Pittsburgh.
against the against the Metro. The only team in the Metro that I'd be afraid to play would be the Capitals, just because Braden Holtby's history against the Bruins.
Mm-hmm.
Philly.
I'm not even really that scared of playing them.
Yeah, but they're hot though. If they stay hot,
They're hot, and I'm not down that, but
He's
there's
like-
really just one team that I think the Bruins would not beat in the Metro, and that is the Capitals, just because Braden Holtby has our number.
yeah.
But Holby isn't really that big right now anymore.
Even still, I've seen a terrible Detroit team this year beat the Bruins
Well, yeah.
more
It
times than
happened.
they should.
No,
There's
I mean,
just times that people that just have your number. Teams have your number.
the first year that Boston and Toronto played in the first round, Toronto swept the season series. They won all 4 games.
Mhm. And that's why I was afraid of playing them.
Yeah, I mean,
But
The
like I
playoffs
said,
are a
playoffs is
different
always a
beast.
different story.
yeah. The penalties are called differently for some stupid reason.
Not because we have all the people out there that don't know how to call games.
So that's really the only reason I have any fear of facing the Metro. But I think the Bruins make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and if they're facing Tampa, then I'm a little bit worried. I'm sweating a little bit.
Yeah, well, actually, I want to bring that back to hockey. With Stamkos being out, do you think that's going to be a big problem right now? Because
No.
it's 6 to 8 weeks,
I don't.
and then he's not going to be 100% himself when he gets back on the ice. for
Honestly,
playoffs.
watching how they played against Boston, they bullied Boston most of that game. They bullied
Yeah,
them.
I mean,
It was just bounces were not going their way. I think they
We-
should have won that.
we touched on this a little bit last week, but if it depends, if they,
Well, we didn't know the injury. How long the injury? Was
yeah,
gonna get
it
back.
just depends. If we, I mean, but Toronto's gonna play Tampa,
Yeah.
and if you get calm Tampa, you have a chance to win. But if you're playing mad Tampa, which is the Tampa they need to be, I mean, it's gonna be tough because mad Tampa is the best Tampa there is. And when they played the Bruins, that was mad Tampa. I mean, you could see it on the ice. They would miss an offsides and they slam their stick. I mean, it was. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what kind of strength he has when he comes back. But I think with that being said, we're gonna wrap it up here.
I just want to throw one more thing because I just
Only
saw,
one. Only one.
Yep, I just saw a tweet from Adam Schefter, and it's gonna make Kobe very happy. Bad news for the rest of the NFL. Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes said he didn't learn how to read defenses until the second half of the season.
And yet he was still that dominant.
So
I love him.
Rip the rest of the league for the remainder of his career.
I love him. I would kiss him on the lips.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's a little aggressive.
I don't care.
Aggressive.
I'm a straight male, but I would kiss that guy right on the lips,
I
okay?
thought that was Conor McGregor.
All right. Well,
let's wrap that up after
yeah,
that.
we're
Let's
gonna
get outta
we're gonna
here.
wrap it up.
Things are going to start getting
We're
real
close,
steamy in a
we're
minute.
close.
You guys might want to close shop.
So thank you again for listening to the Beantown Boys podcast, and we'll see you guys next week.